Welcome to Across the Aisle, where conservatives and liberals sit down, not to shout, but to listen, question, and find common ground. In a world where political extremes dominate the headlines, we're here to bring the conversation back to the center. No echo chambers, no scripted outrage, just real people, real views, and maybe a few heated debates. We won't always agree, but we'll always talk it out. This is Across the Aisle. Let's get into it.
How you guys doing? My name is T-Bone, and welcome to the first episode of the podcast Across the Aisle. I am going to be explaining what Across the Aisle is and giving a brief introduction of what it is, but we are going to be talking about the Jeffrey Epstein situation. So if you are interested and you don't really want to hear that, I will be leaving a timestamp below for you guys to go ahead and skip past that. So with that being said, what Across the Aisle is all about is for the common day American to be able to have conversations. So there's the far left side of the political spectrum, and then there's the far right. Far left saying things along the lines of trans women should be able to participate in women's sports. And then you have individuals on the far right who will say things like your body, my choice when it comes to women. And then things as far as DEI and how black people are obtaining their jobs or getting into these universities. And somewhere in the middle, there's the common day American who is pragmatic and has regular conversations and wants to work with each other on how we can make this country better for not just ourselves, but also for our children who are coming up. What we notice is that those individuals who are more on the center side are constantly having their voices drowned out, because the far left and the far right with their extreme views are always being magnified in the media. The goal of this podcast is to bring those conversations back to the middle, in some sense reality, so that we can have those conversations on a decent level. Now, don't get me wrong, there's going to be disagreements, as well as there's going to be free speech. Yes, there's definitely going to be far right and far left ideologies that a lot of us are not going to want to hear, but it is a free speech platform. In order for us to be able to progress, those conversations have to happen, especially in the center, because we're going to have your moderate liberal or your moderate conservative who's going to be able to have those conversations. We can't move forward if the conversations do not happen. So the disagreements are going to be there. We're going to work through it. That is the whole point of the Across the Aisle podcast. With that being said, last point that I'm going to make before I give my introduction, in order for this to happen, communication has to be there. If you feel as though something that I'm saying is wrong, or if there's a bit more ambiguity that you want to have, if you want to give more of your perspective, please put that down in the comment section. And we're also going to be having different segments where you guys can come up and have conversations with us and add to the conversations that we're having. But we're not able to move forward if those conversations aren't happening, as I said earlier. So feel free to share this out, like this, and make sure that you're engaging by putting comments in there and adding, so that we can also educate ourselves as Americans on what's going on in our country. And with that being said, I'm just going to give a brief introduction of who I am. My name is T-Bone. I run a TikTok platform where I've had multiple encounters. I will admit that I've had some extreme leftist views, but over time I've definitely come back to the center, which I feel like I've always been, but TikTok kind of magnifies things. But with that being said, I've had thousands of interactions, thousands of views, videos that have gotten numerous clicks on them. And I decided that I was kind of tired of the algorithm and the toxic nature on TikTok, and wanted to kind of bring it to a place where people can have those open dialogues without constantly being censored. And with that being said, I am going to go ahead and let my boy Mad Dog introduce himself. So go ahead.
Yeah, how's it going, everyone? I'm Mad Dog, and I'm going to be your unapologetic, principled, conservative voice here on Across the Aisle. I'm not here to scream or rant or, recycle talking points. I'm here to represent the millions of Americans who work hard, respect this country's founding values, believe in freedom, faith, family, and personal responsibility. The people who are tired of watching a loud radical minority on both sides pretend that they speak for the majority. Every episode, I'll be here to break down the issues from a grounded, common sense, conservative perspective. And sometimes I may lean a little left on some of my views. I like to think of myself as in the center. But most importantly, I'll have honest dialogue with my co-host and with you guys, the listeners. So no fake outrage, no echo chambers, just real conversations that actually matter. So let's all work together. Let's reclaim the conversation. Let's get back to reason, and let's have some fun while we're at it, going across the aisle.
Absolutely. By the way, that was beautiful intro. With that being said, I think that everybody's definitely interested in what's going on with this Epstein situation. For those of you who don't know, you're going to have to read up on these things. But there have been situations that have been going on with the Epstein files. Trump on the campaign trail said that he would be releasing these to the American public. Time is going on, and unfortunately, we have seen a complete 180 from Donald Trump, and also his outlook on the viewers who are caring about the Epstein situation as well. We actually have this audio here that we are going to show of him and Pam Bondi actually being interviewed, and we're going to take a look at what his response was when he was asked about this.
Agency, the former Labor Secretary who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Costa, he alleged also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the news?
Yeah, sure.
Could I just interrupt for a second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every year, every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is.
So with that being said, I think that I speak for most Americans when we say bullshit, right? There's so many different places that I want to take this, but I'm going to ask you first, Mad Dog. How do you feel about what you just heard?
Well, I will say, somebody who does think that Trump is a very good president and has watched him a lot, I think that how he responded to that was a bit out of character, and usually he'll sound natural when he's speaking, but it sounded really unnatural, like he was trying too hard to act and trying too hard to kind of get them off of the point. And I'm not really, I don't think he's in there just because he's not a stupid person. And as much as he's brought up the Epstein files and he named other people, he's the type of person that if he knew that he would possibly be on this list, he wouldn't have brought it up. He would have been trying to skirt it and not talk about it as much as he can. He would have been calling it the Epstein hoax from the beginning, just to minimize the chance that if the list came out that he would get in trouble. So it really makes me wonder what was found in there that he has to kind of try to shut up about it and get everyone to move over it. It's a bit sketchy because even if there's no black book, no list, they've got the child pornography, as they've already said, and so there are definitely faces They keep changing the numbers of the victims. There's no way that there's no evidence that they could find any single person.
So, and here's where my issue comes into play, right? They released these binders of phase one of the Epstein list. Now, if you're telling me that the only thing that was in the files was going to be the CP, child pornography, then you're telling me that the only thing that was in those binders would have been child pornography, which makes absolutely no sense. The American people know that there's way more to this than just going to be the videos. And as a matter of fact, we use that to indict Ghislaine Maxwell and give her 20 years. Right? That little black book got her 20 years. So we know that there's definitely information on this. We know that there's recording from Epstein's house that they did take for evidence. There's been years, countless years of evidence and testimony that has been collected for this. So to sit here and act as if the only thing that is in that file is child pornography, you are lying to the American people. Furthermore, we were told that this would be released to the American people. We were told that, and by the way, there were references of a client list specifically. And I'm not going to say that Donald Trump said this, but when asked about the client list specifically, these answers were given by Pam Bondi. She definitely referenced it. So we know that there's more to this. I think what's frustrating for people at this point is the idea of transparency, right? Like we had this whole skeptical of what we did with talking to Zelensky in front of the American people, J.D. Vance being there. And the reasons that we were doing this is because the Trump administration said that they want us to be more transparent, right? We have situations with all throughout the campaign trail. I'm here to drain the swamp. MAGA is saying that he can't be bought. He's not a career politician. And in the face of that, when he has an opportunity to drain out that swamp as he so claims, he doesn't take that opportunity. And this is one of the biggest issues that I have with Trump, that and many others. I'm not a big Trump fan. But with that being said, I think that this is where that issue comes into play. How can we indict Ghislaine Maxwell off of her participation in aiding and abetting of Jeffrey Epstein, and then come out and say, well, there's no list, there's no other evidence besides child pornography? Doesn't make any logical sense. We're lying to the American people.
Well, I will say, yesterday in the press briefing, Carolyn she did put it a really good way. She went over how it's the Department of Justice that's in charge of this. The files, getting it out there. The judges are the ones that have to decide what can be redacted from those trials and stuff, and what can be sent out. So she did do a pretty good job, at least, of explaining why Trump wasn't the one that was actually hiding this or pushing it back. Of course, there is more that he can do to be more upfront of pushing it to declassify and get out there, like he did with the MLK and JFK files. But it definitely isn't 100% on him. I'll at least say that.
I personally don't agree. And the reason that I feel this way is because, in my personal opinion, if let's just say the opposite happens in this situation, and the client list is released and all of the names are on there, this would have been put as Donald Trump's accomplishment. Donald Trump has some type of say-so on whether that list is coming out, whether that's telling Pam Bondi that she needs to work in a certain way. We can't give him the credit whenever it goes good, but whenever things are starting to go bad, we say, well, we can't put this all on Donald Trump. I agree with you with the judges aspect, right? Only problem that comes into play with that is it would make sense that the things that would be protected by the judges would be the children's names, right? And the response to this is not, well, the judges are holding on to information, so we're still conducting an investigation to release those files to the American people. That's not what's being told to us. What's being told to us is that the only thing that is in the files is child pornography, and that there's nothing else to see. That's where my issue comes into play. And then the other issue that I have is Donald Trump's response to this, which even if in the future, let's say that they're able to get those judges to declassify that information or unseal it, whichever class you want to put on there. and this information comes out and Trump wants to release this to the American people, I don't think you can recover from this, because you've taken a stance now of saying, well, we shouldn't even be talking about this. As a matter of fact, I kind of want to show this portion here so that we can kind of get an understanding of what Donald Trump is saying. So Donald Trump is saying in these quotes here that, here we go, the Democrats' new scam is what we, is what we will forever call the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. And my past supporters have bought into this bull, you know what, a book, line, and sinker, Trump posted on Truth Social account. Let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think about talking of our incredible and unprecedented success, because I don't want their support anymore. Now, this is where I get frustrated with MAGA. And I ain't gonna lie, I've been going on TikTok and going crazy on MAGA recently, right? Because Donald Trump is telling the people who supported him, the Charlie Kirks, the Joe Rogans, the Candace Owens, and all of the people who went to bat for him on social media, but not just the social media aspect, the people who went to the ballot box in November to cast their ballot. He says, you are worried about the Jeffrey Epstein list. I don't want your support anymore. I don't understand how you can recover from this. And you can't take that and then turn it around to say, well, it's on the judges, it's on Pam Bondi, it's on the FBI. We can't put this on anybody else. We have to put this on Trump, because he's the one who said that this was a big issue on the campaign trail, and then turns around and flips the bird to his supporters. I just don't understand it.
No, 100%. I agree that he should be held highly accountable for it. I was just saying that it can't be put 100% on him, and I do understand that perspective, and that there is more people at fault for the reason why it's not coming out. But as far as his actions, I 100% agree that it's just been really uncalled for. I think that it's damaged his presidency 100%. Even I see him differently as I watch his things now, because it's just really sketchy. And even in, like, I know you were talking down about the MAGA movement, but the MAGA movement, they also want this released. And they are also getting on Trump about the fact that it's really sketchy that he's not releasing this. And it really just seems like the only people who are pushing that this isn't an important thing to be released are those people in the government right now. It's just the administration that's pushing it. Even Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, they were both going to resign if Pam Bondi didn't step down. I haven't seen if they actually done it. I haven't looked into it since, because I've been busy. But there are a lot of people, even in his own administration, that are standing out about this. There are senators, people in the MAGA movement, people on both sides. This is something that it's kind of mutually known that if we just let this slide, we're just kind of letting them say they can get away with pretty much anything, because it's so obviously bullshit.
And this is where I'll level with you as well, because one thing that I've, even for myself, this wasn't magnified in the media when Joe Biden was in office, right? So Democrats didn't really care too much about this situation with the Jeffrey Epstein, and that's just because they weren't educated on it, right? But what I heard recently on one of the, I think it was The View, and there was one of the co-hosts that's there. In 2024, she was saying things like, well, we don't need to implicate everyone that was there on the island. Just because you're on the island doesn't necessarily mean that you were in any type of act that would have been considered illegal or anything like that. In 2025, we're turning around, and the same person is saying that the reason Donald Trump isn't releasing the list is because he was on there and all those people need. And it's like, well, hold on, like Democrats didn't care about this either. And there's a lot of things that are going on in the government right now about trying to vote to release those files from the judges and things of that nature. But obviously we have a certain process that we have to follow in our country, and it's just a complete mess with that. But I'll definitely level with you there and say that the Democrat side of things, not very many people were educated on this. Hence why they didn't necessarily have a push for this. But I think with Trump magnifying this, I'm kind of glad that he did, because his social media presence was so big that people are talking about these things now. And I think whether you're on the left, whether you're on the right, Democrat, Republican, we all can agree that these pedophiles need to be held accountable for their actions. And outside of that, the system is terrible anyways, right? People are going to spend months in jail, maybe 3 years, get out to commit the same crimes. It's disgusting. Wherever you sit on the political spectrum, everybody's going to say that these individuals need to be removed from our country. Removed from the country. That would be a good idea. But removed from society so that they're not able to inflict these violence on our children. A question for you. Do you think that Donald Trump's supporters, right? The people that he is saying we don't want their support anymore. That's quotes from him. Do you think that the MAGA movement, who has cared so much about Donald Trump throughout these past couple of years, are going to disavow him and not care about supporting Donald Trump at all?
No.
Or do you?
No.
Okay,
No.
so you
I
think
think
that most supporters? Oh, go ahead.
I think they would. If it all depends, because these files are definitely getting released because nobody's letting this up. It's just a matter of time. There are already petitions in. There are people in Congress, different streamers. These files are getting released at some point. And if they don't, I mean, it's just going to cause more and more trouble. But I think if it comes out and it's confirmed that either anybody really closely associated with Trump, or if there's any excuse in there that would be for why he would have personally wanted to hide it, even if it's just like a best friend, whether it's true or not, I think that will 100% destroy him. Because that will kind of just confirm everybody, okay, so you were being fake because you wanted to hide it. Now, if those files come out and his close associates aren't in there, then I don't really think it will 100% push people away, and it will kind of show, or if there's actually nothing in there that's implicating people, I think people will kind of understand that he's just frustrated. And it'll equal out a little more because he's done a lot of amazing things, and this is just kind of like that nail in the coffin. But I think one thing I really am liking about this issue is that it's the first time that, like, we've had quite a few things that should have been bipartisan, but because of the anti-Trump, even things that Democrats would usually be for, they don't go for because it'd be a win for Trump. So it's been every single thing, no matter what issue it is. If it's a Republican issue, the Democrats are against it because they feel like if they go for it, then they're going for Trump. But now with this issue, it's the first time since probably before Trump's first term that there's actually a good issue that everybody on both sides of the aisle are agreeing is wrong and should be kind of talked about. So I am hoping that kind of this will open up more of a dialogue for future things, and just because it'll show how much can actually be accomplished whenever we come together as a whole to deal with bipartisan issues, not caring whether it's Republican or if it's Democrat. Some things are just bad and wrong, and it doesn't matter what party you're in, they should be addressed.
Yeah, and I think we'll have a conversation in the future about the whole Donald Trump doing amazing things, but that's we'll save that and table it for another point. I think the biggest problem that I do have, though, is that specifically with the MAGA movement, and the reason I say this is not because I'm only looking at conservatives because I think that they're terrible people. It's more of they're the ones who unfortunately have the burden in this situation, right? Democrats are able to use this to their advantage in the political spectrum, or even the supporters. MAGA is unfortunately put into a position where they have to call Donald Trump out on these situations and force the holding accountable of Donald Trump, which is kind of the opposite of what they've recently had to do. And based off of what you said, they've supported everything that he's done. It's not necessarily that they've had to go against those things, but we could talk about those in the future as well. I think the issue that I have is that I don't want within the next 2 to 3 weeks that no one's talking about this anymore. right? That's where I see this going. I see a lot of people, even on social media, who have made some type of excuse, right? Conspiracy theorist people coming out and saying, well, there's other world leaders and their children might be on the list, and all of our government is in there, and it would cause for a collapse of our infrastructure and the way that our government is working. It could potentially cause a World War III. And to me, the MAGA movement is supposed to be so much more, right? We were told that you guys are about the facts over feelings, that you guys are about draining out the swamp, and that you guys aren't. But this type of situation, if we get to the point where in 3 weeks we're not talking about this anymore, we are setting a stage for not just the American people, but for the world, to let them know that when it comes to situations of pedophiles, we're always going to protect them. And not only that message, we're also sending a message of saying that we will allow for our government to be as corrupt as we possibly can and allow for them to be bought out and not be transparent with the American people. We are going to fuck over the American people at every turn that we have, and there's nothing that they can do about it. That's where my issue comes into play, and I'm hoping that I'm wrong about that.
Well, I think you're putting too much of the blame on MAGA per se. MAGA's not Trump. Trump may have championed it and started it, but they have gone against Trump on multiple things, and they're not afraid to call him out. And if anything, if you look at different MAGA streamers or activist people who actually are really big into MAGA, Trump was voted into office because people wanted him to come in and basically just fuck the government. Say, okay, this is too corrupt. He was voted in because he was supposed to not be able to be bought. He didn't care about the political sides. He was going to do what was best for America, America First agenda. So the thought that anyone would be okay with Trump protecting people because the government might collapse because there are too many corrupt officials, that's not a MAGA thing. MAGA would want him to get those people out of the government to start over because it's about making America better.
I view MAGA completely different. I feel like and the way that I explain this on my platforms, and by the way, MAGA has so many different interpretations. The way that I use it personally is if you voted for Donald Trump, you're MAGA. That's just how I feel about it. You can't vote for the man and disagree with his philosophies. You agree that making America great again is something that we should be doing. That's why you casted your ballot for him, right? But from what I've seen, MAGA is not able to call out the things that they think Donald Trump has done wrong. As a matter of fact, when I talk to them about certain things that he's done on the campaign trail, I always hear some type of excuse for why it's acceptable or why it's justified. But the Charlie Kirks of the world, right? These individuals do not call Donald Trump out for the things that he says. And as a matter of fact, I could pull up the clips, but we'll save that for a different time. Charlie Kirk's energy towards Donald Trump in this situation has been very disappointing, and he's somebody that I would definitely put into the MAGA category. He'll make a statement about, well, we want the files to be released, right? But you don't have this same energy when you're talking about DEI. You're on 1,000. Right? When you're talking about these undocumented immigrants in our country, when you're talking about the corruption and wasteful spending of the Department of Education, or how college is a scam, you're going to far lengths to explain why these things are an issue. I don't care what anybody says. These individuals who are assaulting children, they need that same damn energy, right? And I don't see MAGA doing that enough. That's where my issue comes into play. MAGA is sitting by and just saying, well, we're frustrated with it. I mean, I don't see too many of the... Oh, go ahead.
I think you're taking extremists and you're taking a small percent and making it the majority, especially the people on TikTok. Like you're talking to some radical, uneducated people. And Charlie, it's 100% understandable if you think about it from a logical standpoint why he isn't attacking it, because it could fuck the Republicans in the midterms. And I just...
Would you consider Charlie Kirk a radical?
leaning radical, but I wouldn't consider him fully radical. I mean, he's definitely
I
far.
personally-
He's definitely right. He's fully right, but I wouldn't consider him radical right.
Well, if he's not so far radical, then my question is, why would he not take the opportunity to call out Donald Trump? This is what
Because-
I'm hearing from.
Because it would
Go ahead.
empower the left. Because this one issue could screw up multiple elections and make them lose majorities. It's because he's got a big platform, so he has to be careful about what he attacks. It's just logical. And while it's like he's not supporting it, but he's not going to attack it and attack the administration, and then that gets his supporters to think, okay, maybe I should vote Democrat, because they don't think that because they think Trump is bad, and it's going to support this whole stupid ideology that Trump is the devil. And like for example, in Virginia, I was looking at our gubernatorial candidates. Right, I don't like the Republican nominee. She is she doesn't have anything she's really running for. I could barely find any videos of her. What I did find, she was just kind of like slow, I guess. She doesn't have much drive. And then Spamberger, her campaign is she has the same thing as the other woman that working on schools, but the main point of her thing is anti-Trump. That's her main point. She's going to fight against Trump. She's going to make sure that this and that against Trump doesn't work. And then she adds in, oh yeah, and I'm going to focus on schools. And it's like, I would much rather it be less, let's fight Trump, and more, what are we going to do for Virginia? And that's kind of like where a lot of the ideologies are going, whether it's in the liberal media or different elections. It's fight Trump. We even have the communist dude that's trying to run for frickin' New York mayor. It's like there's just a lot of far left things that are going right now, and it's a very bad time for right-leaning right-leaning streamers to start bashing the right. So I don't. Go ahead.
I just don't find honesty in that, though, because that you would have that expectation of us on the left, regardless of the platform. You would have expectations that we would call out those things that we find to be wrong, and be honest and not disingenuous when doing so, right? Like, you would want for us to say, listen, Joe Biden lied to the American people, right? When Joe Biden said that he would not pardon his son, and then turned around and did that while he was also like discombobulated and not knowing where the hell he was at the time, right? But when that was put on us, the expectation is Democrats need to accept the fact that we put someone in that chair for the election in 2024 that was not capable of being there. Furthermore, he's lied to the American people on multiple occasions. We can't set that standard for the left and then not have it on the right, right? There can't be an excuse for why people like Charlie Kirk are not calling out Donald Trump for lying. I mean, that's what the administration did. They lied to the American people. They told them they would get something, and they're not getting it.
Yeah.
This is where that issue comes into play. Oh, go ahead.
The left set this up, man. I mean, none of the left streamers, this entire time, there's no left person that's actually has given any leeway, even to things that are actually like good things. Like, you can't really expect for this one really bad thing that's bipartisan for the right-leaning people to come out supporting the left 100% and going in on it, when the left, even in bipartisan things that have happened, have not only not condemned the bipartisan things, but have condemned against the bipartisan things because they don't want more right-leaning stuff. So I 100% agree. It's disingenuous. It's not honest. It would be better if he could give that the same energy that he gave the left, like when he's attacking left ideologies. You can't really hold it against him when this is the political climate that's been set up. If we had a climate that on both sides we could be more bipartisan, that'd be great. And that's what I was talking about earlier when I said I hope that this Epstein issue, which is something that we finally have people on both sides of the aisle disagreeing with. And while you did use Charlie Kirk as an example, there are conservative streamers and stuff that have come out against it and are speaking about it. So I 100% agree with you on that. It's just we can't really attack them on that because of the political climate that we're in.
I understand. I guess I just would hope that they would utilize the huge platforms that they have, because we can agree that the platforms have shifted to the right. The conservatives have a lot of the younger voter base. They have a lot, majority of the country is in support of these platforms that are more conservative and right leaning. I'm just hoping that they're going to use that for what we would say is the greater good, and put that pressure on this administration. With that being said, a couple more questions for you, and I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. With this Ghislaine Maxwell situation, we know that she had the black book. We know that that was the reason that she was indicted, because of her aiding and abetting with the trafficking that was taking place. My question to you, Ghislaine Maxwell has come out and stated that she is willing to testify in front of Congress. Obviously, there's going to have to be some type of negotiation for her sentence to be brought down. And I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, I believe she's done 5 of the 20 years. And depending on how much information she gives and participating in certain crimes, she could potentially get more time. And we don't know how that works. But my question is, do you think that with all of the moving pieces that are behind the scenes, right? So we're not talking about Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, the leader of the FBI. What we're talking about is the outside pieces that are making it to where this list is not coming out. Do you think that they're going to allow for Ghislaine Maxwell to expose the truth of this list, since the administration doesn't want to do it?
Well, you're saying she has a black book. Is this like where's that coming from? Because I haven't seen
So the
anything
black
about
book. Yeah, so if you take a look at that, the black book with Ghislaine Maxwell, that is going to be the list of children, and I'm not sure if there were clientele in there specifically. There might have been clientele there, but it was basically a book of evidence of the children that she was trafficking on that island with Epstein as well.
Yeah, I know they have. I know they know names of victims.
Right, so
But
they definitely have that information. Here's my thing is that I don't believe that that's all that they have. I
Yeah.
believe that they have much more.
Yeah, I agree.
But obviously, Ghislaine Maxwell is going to be willing to testify, because let's just say there's nothing in that black book. She would be willing to testify about the dealings of Epstein and the people who were participating in this. So I guess my question is, do you think that the other moving pieces will allow for her voice to speak on this, so that we can get some type of transparency on what took place on that island?
Well, I think they're going to do as much as they can to not allow her to. But it really depends on what and who is behind the scenes, and because they're a little bit limited now that it's become so big. I mean, what if they kill her? It's obvious there's going to be riots at that point if she dies. And I mean, there are people in Congress now looking at it. So if they try to make some excuse for why they won't accept a plea or anything, it's definitely under scrutiny right now. People are watching this a lot. People in power, people not in power, and it's not like the entire government is in on some freaking conspiracy. And there are a lot of people on both sides who are just waiting for a way to pop up and be able to become president in the future with a good hoorah, you know. So if there's some, I think they'll try their best not to, but it's not as simple as it was with Epstein at this point. So if she has credible evidence, I don't think that they'll actually be able to stop her from actually getting out there and getting that information out.
Okay. And then my next and final questions. I want this list 4 days ago, right? Everybody wants this list like yesterday. With the climate of our country right now, how long do you think realistically it would take for this evidence to be released to the American people?
Realistically?
Yeah. Because in my eyes, based off of what we've seen, I don't think that list sees the light of day. I don't think that the files see the light of day. And not to say that push isn't going to be there for me and other Democrats. It's just that I don't think, realistically, if we got to the point where what we would assume is the best candidate to be able to release these files, he couldn't even get it done, I just don't see how those moving pieces are not powerful enough to where we'll be able to get that list out. I don't see how that'll happen. I don't think that those moving pieces are going to back down. So that's just me.
They can do what they want, but the Democrats, the really radical Democrats, have been protesting bullshit violently, and I mean we're talking like what 200,000, 300,000 across the country. On their maximum one, I think it was the biggest one was the No Kings protest, where there was like a few 100,000 people across the country. You got to think about the fact that there are 380 billion people in America. So this protest is like not even 0.1%. Like that, the things that these radicals have been doing is not even 0.1% of the entire country's population, and they're getting media attention. They're getting ICE sent there. They're getting the police involved. Think about California. That's not even 0.1% of the country. So this issue that the entire country is focused on, if just 1% of the country walks out, goes into the streets, not violent, not destroying the cities, they're like, we want this list out there. Just 1% of the country. That's 3.8 million people across the country would be out there. And on both sides of the aisle, because this is a bipartisan issue, they can't say no. And that's the kind of difference with a bipartisan issue and the fact that the entire country is actually kind of agreeing with this. Because right now, things are working through Congress. There are petitions going through and everything. And so the normal people like you and me, we're just chilling. We're doing our thing. We're making sure the word gets out there and stuff like that. But the moment that everything fails and we're just told, Congress said no, your petitions don't matter, we're not going to talk about this in the media anymore, that's when the normal, everyday people are going to be like, okay, we need to take more extreme measures and get to the streets and make sure that they know, no, you are the minority. You 1,000, 2,000, however many freaking people we got in the federal government, you guys do not control this country. When the entire country wants something, we get it. So I think that's why I think that this list is definitely going to come out at some point, because it's such a big issue that everybody agrees with, that if they don't agree, if they don't eventually send it out, this larger amount of people, whether it's a majority or not, of the country is going to stand up, and they're going to have no choice but to release that list.
We'll definitely see what happens with that. I'm hoping that my assessment is wrong on this, but again, I'm not going to stop talking about it. I hope that other people aren't going to stop talking about it. I hope that we collectively as a country agree that we have no place for any type of pedophile or anyone who traffics children at all. And I hope that we take that stance to say we're not going to let up on this until those people are removed. And if they're in our government, if they're sitting in the presidential seat, not saying Donald Trump is one of them, but we essentially saying we don't care where they sit, whether they're working a regular 9-to-5 job, whether they're in other countries, whether they are in our governments. We want to be able to identify who these harmful people are, so that we can make sure that we put that tag on them, and if so, potentially remove them from our offices and criminally hold them liable for the things that they did.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think that's something that should not just be with the pedophiles, but pretty much every crime. There's a thing that elected officials kind of think that they have more leeway than regular citizens, but I think it 100% should be the other way around, whether you're Democrat, Republican, or whatever. I don't know any type of leadership position, except apparently the federal and state government, that you're able to act worse than the average citizen and get away with more. Like if you're a manager at a store and you show up to work late, you're held accountable more than a regular store associate that shows up to work late. So why is it that our elected officials are able to do more that we can't get away with? Like there was one Democrat, I think it was in Texas, but she was at an ICE immigration facility, and she had, I think she shoved people or something like that. But she actually ended up getting charged, and I'm pretty sure she got indicted, and she went to prison, and because she thought she could get away with it because she was a elected official. And of course, it was a Democrat this time, but I'd also be cheering if it was a Republican. I just like the fact that they got held accountable. Because,
Right.
hell, if you or me went and pushed a frickin' ICE agent, hell no, bro. We're going to jail.
Oh, I'm getting 50 years.
Right? Right?
Yeah, I'm
We're
not
in
saying a
jail.
lot today.
But yeah, so I 100% think that we should, whatever the crime is, I think that elected officials need to be held to a higher standard than regular people.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Well, yeah, I mean, I think that that's pretty much it. Do you have anything else that you want to say on this Epstein situation before we wrap it up?
No, man, I think we covered pretty much everything here.
All righty. Well, I guess that wraps up our first ever podcast episode for Across the Aisle. Appreciate everybody that tuned in. Once again, if you don't mind liking this and also sharing it out and putting your thoughts in the comments section, right? How do you feel about this whole Jeffrey Epstein situation? Are there things that we missed? Is there more evidence that you can present to us, whether it be about Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump, the administration, Pam Bondi, you name it? And if there's anything else that we missed, go ahead and put that down in the comments section, engage in that conversation so that we can bring those types of things up. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, and we'll catch you all on the next one. Peace out.